Once again, Sri Muhammad Rahmatullah Garu to start the session. And today we have two sessions consecutively. So two sessions are going to take by Sri Muhammad Rahmatullah Garu. And tomorrow we have two more sessions with Mallikarjun Garu, as I shown you in the schedule. So with this, I would like to invite Muhammad Rahmatullah Garu once again. Sir, thank you, sir. Please start the session, sir. Over to you, sir. Unmute the mic, sir. Unmute the mic.
Good afternoon. Hello, sir. My voice is clear, sir?
Yes, sir. Your voice is clear, sir.
Okay, sir. Visiting, sir, screen?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
Good afternoon.
Right.
Today, I'm going to start this bracing system. Bracing system. Why we see bracings in steel buildings only? Why not in RCC buildings? If you see your home, is there any bracings are there? Why there are no bracing in your house? But if you say take same building with constructed with the steel, you see the bracings. Why bracings are there in steel buildings? What is the reason behind having the bracings in steel buildings only? Anybody? Please note down why we see bracings in steel buildings only. If you take 5-story apartment also, somebody living in apartments, did you see any bracings there? Even though apartment height is 5 floors, 6 floors, but we will not see any bracings, but they are standing. But coming to steel building, if it is 5-meter height also or 2-meter height also, bracings are must. What is the reason? What is the reason to have the bracing system in steel buildings must? Anybody? Because steel sections are, write down, steel sections are what we use, I sections are uniaxial sections. Write down, all I sections are uniaxial section. It means that moment of inertia from major axis to minor axis, there is a 13 to 15 times difference. Write down, moment of inertia in major axis to minor axis is 13 to 15 times difference is there. It means that steel sections are very, very strong in along the major axis, that is the Z axis, but they are very, very weak in the minor axis. That is the reason we provide the bracing system in minor axis. Coming to RCC, if you see any column, generally difference in length to the width hardly 2 times. It means that RCC sections are biaxial sections. RCC sections are biaxial, but coming to steel are, write down, uniaxial sections. That is the reason we find the bracing system must in steel buildings. Understand? Why bracing system must in the steel buildings? From where this force coming on the minor axis? From where force is coming in the minor axis? Anybody? Whatever the force is coming in the width direction is resisted by the frames. If you see the grid number 1 to 10, there are frames are there. There are like this frames are there. These frames are resisting the whatever the wind is coming from the length direction. We are analyzing in the stat. Okay. But what about the force is coming from the coming from the ends. Write down whatever the wind force coming from the gable ends. Here is one gable end, here one gable end. Who will resist? Some mechanism should be there. What mechanism? That is bracing system. That mechanism is called bracing system. Write down. Please write down. Whatever the wind force coming from the gable end. This is gable end and this is gable end. Because ends there are no framing system is there. Ends there are no framing system is there. That is the reason whatever the wind is coming from the gable end has to be resisted by bracing system. Bracing system. In a building, how many bracings should be provided? Who will decide? Who will decide? Generally, we provide bracings after every 3 bays. First bay, brace bay. Next is I'm leaving 3 to 4 bays. You should leave 3 to 4 brace bays. Again, provide bracings. Like this, I'm leaving 1, 2, 3. Why I had not provided the bracing in the first bay? Here, in the 11th grid, I had not provided the bracing, but I had provided the bracing in the grid number 1. What is the reason? Write down. This 11th grid is, this first grid is main end. First grid is main end. Main end means first bay must be braced bay. Write down. Main end means there are 2 types of end. Main end, light end. Write down. Main end, light end. Main end means expandable frames. Main end means expandable frame. There must be first bay must be braced bay. If the light end is there, first bay should not be braced bay. Light end means non-expandable frames. It means that we can't expand the frame or building in the width direction in the grid number 11. That is the reason I had not provided the bracing. Understand? Next. See this picture. This is my I section having the moment of inertia in major axis. It can able to take the load in major axis 100%, but it's very weak in the minor axis. Whatever the force is acting along this web has to be resisted or transferred to the bracing system. Let us take one RCC section, generally square or rectangle type. Their moment of inertia difference from major axis to minor axis hardly 2 to 3 times. Hardly 2 to 3 times. But in coming to steel, 13 to 15 times minimum. That is the reason whatever the force is coming in the minor axis means gable ends or crane surge. Crane, write down, crane surge has to be transferred to the bracing system. Bracing system. See, this is a plan view. These are all the width. Along the width, all frames are there. These frames are, this whatever wind is coming here is resisted by the frames. But whatever the wind is coming from the end, gable end, it has to be resisted by the bracing system, because in gable end there is no frame mechanism. Write down. We have the frame system in the only in the width direction, but we don't have the frame system in the length direction. That is the reason whatever the wind is coming along the minor axis or gable ends has to be resisted by the bracing system. This is the fundamental. That is the reason we see bracing system in the steel buildings only. I hope you understood why bracing is coming in the steel buildings. Okay. Next, What are the materials, what are the profiles to be used for the bracing system? What are the profiles? Generally, we use rod bracing, write down, of diameter 24 dia. We use single rod or double rod. Write down. This rod material is 250 MPa, means 250 Newton per mm square. This rod bracing always designed as a tension members. Rod bracing always designed as a tension members. These rod bracings are most suitable for resisting the wind force. Write down. These rod bracings are most suitable for resisting the wind force, but it is advisable this rod bracing should not be used in high seismic zone areas. High seismic zone area, that is zone 4, zone 5, we should not use. Why we should not use rod bracing in high seismic area? Because once seismic occurs, due to the reversal of the forces, this rod may bend. Rod may bend. Once rod is bent, it cannot be straightened. It cannot be straightened. That is the reason we advise to use this rod bracing in low seismic zones only, and also that to resist the wind force only. Wind force only. Number 2, angle bracing. Angle bracing. Angle bracings are the most efficient bracing and which can be used for any zones. Write down. Angle bracing can be used for any zone, any cranes, any area, which is the most efficient and which can be sustained or support the reversal of stresses during the seismic also. Please note down and underline us this point. Angle bracing can be used anywhere. In all zones we can use, because angle bracings are able to support or sustain, withstand in high seismic zone areas, and also they can be face and resist the reversal of stresses also. They can be face and resist the reversal of the stresses due to the seismic also. That is the reason angle bracings are the most efficient and effective. Generally, we use rod bracings, angle bracings of double angles, and grade of material is 250. What is the permissible Slenderlens ratio for angles bracing as per code? Anybody? That is, permissible slenderness ratio for bracing is 250. Write down 250. Next type of bracing is portal bracing. Next type of bracing is portal bracing. Why I'm using this type of bracing? What is the reason for using this type of bracing? This rod and angle both are cross type. Both are cross, but this is a type bracing. What is the advantage of this bracing compared to the portal, rod and angle bracing? Because main advantage of this bracing also efficient bracing, effective bracing, you can use anywhere in all zones. Write down. Portal bracing also can be used anywhere, means all zones you can use. This bracing also can be resist the seismic force also, and also one of the main advantage of this bracing is, what is the advantage?
Door openings.
Yes, there is a access is there. There is no obstruction. There is no obstruction for entry and exit. But when you take the angle bracing or rod bracing, there is obstruction for entry and exit. That is a more advantage. And also one more thing I can say you, among this all bracing, which is economical?
Sir, unmute your mic, sir.
Now, sir, Vasudha? Hello? Polra, sir?
Sir, now it is okay, sir. Your voice is audible.
See, among these three bracings, which is economical? Rod, angle, portal. Which is economical? Economical is rod, where wind force is governing. Wind force is governing the design. Should use rod bracing can be used as long as wind force is governing and also in low seismic area. Uneconomical bracing is the portal bracing because here we are using the solid ice sections. What we are using here? Solid ice sections. But this is a efficient and also there is no obstruction from entry exit point of view. Okay. See, let us take a building of the plan width 21 meters, length 7.75 meters. There are 10 bays are there, base spacing 7.5 meters and height 8 meters. Design wind speed is calculated as explained sir also last time, Pola sir, that is 1.3 km per meter square. This width of this is a gable end. I am calculating this half area. So roof slope is 1:10, means 21 means 10.5. That is height is here is 1.05. I am calculating this surface area and surface area multiplied by the pressure. I am getting the sir. Hello. Yes, yes, yes. Afterwards. See, this design wind pressure is 1.3 and then this we am calculating that braced base force is 61. Number of braced base. Number of braced base means if you see this plan, how many braced base are there? There are 3 base 1, 2, 3. How many base? 3. That is the reason I had divided by this 61 divided by 3. 61 divided by 3. The force in the each brace bay is 61.49 by 3. 61.49 by 3, that is 20.5. Understand why I have divided by 3? Because number of brace bays are 1, 2, 3. That is the reason I had divided by 3. Next, calculation of force in the wall bracing. This 20.5. This is my base spacing. Height is 8 meters. I had calculated the diagonal length and force in the braced member I had calculated. See, this is the force in the member. This is a wall bracing. Wall. Similarly, roof bracing. You can see roof bracing. These are all columns are there. A, B, C, D, and E. You can see this I have obtained from here only. A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D. Same thing here. A, B, C, D, E. I had calculated this exposed area, height. This also exposed area calculated. Trib for this wind column, trib for this column. And height of this column is 8 meters, first one. And average I had taken afterwards. Average height is this much and exposed area this much. At design wind pressure is 1.3 and brace bay force is 13.88 and number of brace bays is 4.7. Means this much force is acting here. Like this, B, C, and this force is applied here. These are all used for the design of roof bracing. This is used for the design of roof bracing. This is a simple example I am showing you how to calculate the compression capacity of the bracing member. Here I am taking the 2L means double angle, 75 by 75 by 6 angle, and its grade is 250, and diagonal length of the member is 8, height is 8 square. This is the base spacing. I got this force in the member 20 divided by force, and as per IS code, you can see this class is there. Effective length 0.7, 10.97. And these are calculations. Lambda W lambda. This is a calculation to calculate the. This is the required for what I got this force. This should be more than the force coming on the bracing member. Understand? I hope you understood this. Next. Tola sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm unable to share.
No, your document is shared, sir, but you make it to full screen, sir.
Shared, sir?
Shared.
What is coming, sir? Title?
Bracing, sir. That
No,
lambda.
No, sir. That is over. Next, I want.
Stop sharing, sir.
Now, sir?
Yeah, PEB design methodology.
Okay, sir. The screen is, can you, the screen, sir?
Yes, sir, we are able to see now.
Okay, sir. PEB design methodology. PEB design methodology means this is a fundamental concept how to start any PEB design. In RCC, few thumb rules are given. For simply supported, span by depth, the ratio they given, and also cantilever they given. Like this, they given ratio. But in steel, what is the ratios? How to start? Let us take a 30 meter width is there. Instead, what initial depth I should give? In start output, start input. What is how I should start? Shall I start with 10 mm? Shall I start with 1000 mm? How I should start? Because similarly, after doing so many years of this PEB, and we come to know one conclusion that depth of the rafter is equal to span by 28. Write down depth of the rafter at eave level. Please write down depth of the rafter at eave level is 28 mm. Next, minimum depth at the base plate. Minimum web depth at the base plate. In PEB, minimum depth of the web at the base plate should not be less than 250. For depth of the haunch, 950 up to. If for 350 depth, it should be 950 to 1500 haunch depth. Always we increase the depths in multiples of the 50s, that is 2 inches. If you say our plant people increase the depth or cut the plate in 2 inches, 2 inches cut cheyandi, means they will cut it very easy. If you say them 258, because they are very unskilled persons, little educated persons. If you say them in our own languages, that is 23 mm, 24 mm. For them, it's very difficult to read. That is the reason we increase or decrease depth of the column member in multiples of 50s. That is 2 inches. That is 2 inches. Next, flange width. How much flange width should be there? What is the basis for flange width? Write down. For I-beam, flanges are like wings. Please write down. For I-beam, flanges are like wings. Similarly, aircraft wings are so much important for stability and balancing purpose. Similarly, for I-beam also, wings are flanges. If the proper width of the flanges are not maintained, unbalancing, twisting, distortion may occur. That is the reason we have fixed the flange to width ratio also. Flange width to flange ratio, that is depending on the depth of the I-beam, the width of the flange should be d by 5. D by 5, that is must. If you are going more means d by flange width more means it's good only. Having the flange widths higher or always stabilize improves the lateral torsional buckling capacity of the I-beam. Understand? Minimum width of the flange, that is 130 mm, and standard widths are 130, 180. And also this flange widths also increase in 1 inch. You can see 1 inch means 200, 225, 250, 275 means flange widths. Write down. Flange widths are increased in inches. Flange widths are increased in inches. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. Because when you go site, if you say in terms of inches, because welders, you can easily understand, easily they can cut it. If you are saying in 24 mm, 27 mm, because they're unable to read it. They're unable to read it, unable to cut it. For them, giving any value, any dimensions in multiples of inches are very, very easy. Understand? Next, thickness of web. How much thickness of web should be there? Thickness of web for the column is 107. Thickness of web for column is 107. Why 107 for column? Why 150 for rafter? Why we are giving higher for rafter? Anybody? Why we are giving higher value for rafter? Because rafter is a plate girder. Write down. Rafter always subjected to predominantly movement. Rafter always subjected to predominantly bending movement. That is the reason we go higher value. Please note down. Rafter always subjected to predominantly movement. But coming to column, always subjected to movement as well as axial force. Column has to resist the whole axial force as well as the bending movement. That is the reason column behavior is the, write down, please write down. Column behavior is the beam column behavior. That is the reason we go 107 ratio for column and 150 for rafter, because rafter behavior is always a beam behavior, plate girder behavior, means it carries very little axial force. Understand? This 107, 150 or how you obtain this 107, 150? In the code book, they are given the, you can, for semi-compact, what is the limit? 126 epsilon. In PB, we are using 345 grade. That is the reason 250 divided by, write down, 250 divided by 345 root. That is epsilon will come 0.835 into 126 multiply, you will get 105. Got it? 126, 126 epsilon is there, no? Epsilon is 1 for mild steel. We are using here high strength steel, that is 345 grade. That is the reason epsilon is 0.835. That is 250 divided by 345 root. If you multiply 126 that value, you will get 106. This 200 where from 150 where you got? 150 value from where you got? Anybody? We have the minimum thickness criteria also given in the code book. Minimum thickness criteria also given in the code book. In that one, for unstiffened elements, stiffened elements, we have the 200 epsilon. 200 epsilon. For high strength grade, if you multiply with epsilon with 0.835, you will get around 170. But in PEB, based on the welding difficulties, handling, erection, wavingness, right on, based on the welding, erection, handling, transportation difficulties, actual value is 170, but we are restricting to 150. We are restricting to 150. That is the reason thereafter it is 150. Understand? Minimum web thickness. Minimum web thickness means minimum thickness of the plate is 4 mm. Minimum thickness of plate is 4 mm. These plates are available 4 mm in the market. 4 mm, 5 mm, 6 mm, 8 mm. Like this thicknesses available. Thicknesses are available. Flange thickness. Flange thickness is B by 11. B by 11. It means that flange should not, write down, flanges should not be slender. Flanges should be minimum at any, please write down, flanges must be minimum semi-compact. Write down, all of you. Flanges must be minimum semi-compact. Flanges must be minimum semi-compact. Flanges should not be slender at any cost. Flanges should not be slender at any cost, because once flanges are slender, star also will not design. Star also will not design. It means that write down minimum section for flanges is semi-compact. Semi-compact. Flange thickness to web thickness ratio. Flange thickness to web thickness ratio also should be 2.5 to 3 mm. Why we should maintain this? What is the relationship between the flange thickness to web thickness? Why we should maintain? Because let us take, I'm having the flange, right on, I'm having the flange of 32 mm. I'm having the web of 4 mm. Because how much welding I should require? Nearly 10 mm welding I should require. Is it possible to weld that much welding between the difference of thicknesses? Not at all possible. Means one is a very high thickness, another one is a very little thickness. That is, flange is 32 mm, web is 4 mm. Such a cases, we can't weld it. We can't weld it. It's very difficult. Wavingness will come. That is the reason, as possible as you choose, if the web is flange is 32 mm, web should be 6 to 8 mm minimum. That is the reason we have specified the flange thickness to web thickness as 2.5 minimum, can go maximum up to 3. See here one example. Span is 20 meters and depth is, I'm arriving the depth 20, span by 28. I'm getting 7.4, I'm round up to 700 or 750. Actual value, actual depth is designed or decided by the star. This is only the trial. This is only the trial to feed the depths in our software. Understand? This is not final depths. Actual depth, exact depth are based on the design, deflection requirement, everything decided by the software. But whatever we select this step, it may fit. Generally, it will fit. It won't go very high. Slightly high, some variation will come in. 50 mm, 60 mm, it will go up and down. But there is won't be much difference. Understand? Next, flange width. This depth divided by 5. I got the 150 mm. Flange thickness 150 divided by 2 because half away I should take. 2 into 11. I'm getting 6.818 because we won't get the material in the fractions. Material in the fraction will not get. Always this material or steel sections are standards. That is the reason I'm going higher value. Web thickness is D by, web thickness of rafter is D by 150. That is 150 by 750, 15 mm. Web thickness of the column is D by 107. Like this, I arrived. See, this is my rafter, this is my column, 250 minimum to 750. Web thickness is 7 mm and 150 by 8 is my flange. 150 by 8 is my flange. Coming to rafter, 750 to 750, 150 by 8. This is my ridge. This is my ridge. I should not reduce the depth from eave to ridge more than 40%. Write down. I should not reduce the depth from eave to ridge more than 40%. If you reduce from here to here very drastically, it look like some dangerous. Somebody seeing also feel that engineer has not done properly his job. Understand? And also you should slightly should reduce. And also you should make these pieces in our STAT analysis also 3 meters. How? 3 meters pieces. 3 meter pieces. Why we are making? Because bending moment shear force is not constant everywhere. This profile is exactly resembles the bending moment diagram. Maximum bending moment is here. That is the reason I had provided the maximum section. Minimum bending moment is 0. I can say 0. That is the reason I provided the little section here. Here also very little bending moment. Understand? This is the shape of this rafter exactly resembles the bending moment profile. The shape of rafter resembles the bending moment profile. How to rotate it 1 meter. Sir, can you able to see?
Yes, sir. I am able to see.
This is screen. These photos I'm getting, sir. Hello? Yeah. You can see this picture. In this picture, this what is this one? Z's. This Z, this Z, this Z. What is this one? These are all purlins. These are all purlins. These are all purlins at a spacing of 1.5. At a spacing of 1.5. What is this LX, LY? LX, LY means lateral torsional restraint. LX, LY are lateral. LX is lateral torsional restraint. How this rafter is getting the lateral torsional restraint? This rafter is getting the lateral torsional restraint with help of purlins. Write down. This rafter is getting the lateral torsional restraint or lateral torsional support with help of the purlins. Purlins, how they are giving? Purlins to rafter is connected with help of the flange bracing. I don't. Purlin to rafter is connected with help of the flange bracing. That is the reason we give in our STAD model LX LY as 1.5 meters. It means that this rafter I am providing lateral torsional restraint at right down. I am providing lateral torsional restraint for this rafter at every 1.5 meters with help of purlins. Purlins means with help of the purlin to rafter connection is with help of flange bracing. Flange bracings are provides lateral torsion restraint. I will show that photo of flange bracings afterwards in my PPT. Here also you can see wall also fully sheeted. That height is 6 meters. LX L1 means my purlins are giving the lateral restraint to column. My purlins are giving lateral restraint to column. You can see in this picture, same picture, but rafter is same. But here is partly block work. Here is 3 meter block work is there. That is the reason I had created node here. That is the reason I had given the LX here 3 meters, LY also 3 meters. But here sheeting is there. But I had given here is LX LY as 1.5 meters. Understand? Because here is unsupported length or unbraced length is 3 meters. Unsupported length, unbraced length is 3 meters. But here is girts are there 1.5 meters. Please observe this picture to this picture difference. Here is LX LY is constant from top to bottom because full height sheeting is there. Means lateral torsional restraint is provided by this girts or purlins. But coming to here, 3 meter block. That is the reason I had created one node here and I had given the different LX here. Next picture you can see. Here full height block work is there. Here is full height block work is there. Full height block work means this column is fully unsupported, fully laterally, torsionally, fully unsupported. Means my LZ, LX, LY are 10 meters. Please take this observation here in this picture. My LX, LY, LZ are 10 meters. It means that there is no restraint for this column. Means whatever the full height is there, that much is the buckling length. That much is the buckling length. Here always sheeting is the roof. That is LX, LY is constant. LX, LY is constant. Understand? Hello, sir. Can I able to see? Hello, sir.
No, sir, only folder.
Okay. Now, sir.
Yes, sir. You are able to see mezzanine floor system.
Mezzanine floor system. This mezzanine floor system is similar to our RCC floor system. Similar to our RCC floor system. This is the one building. This is one plan. You can see these are all main beams. This is the width. This is the width, and along the width we are providing the MBs are write down. These MBs are main beams. These MBs are main beams. MBs are main beams. This purpose of these main beams is to support this secondary beams, that is joist. That is joist. These joists are resting on the write down main beams. These joists are simply supported beams. Write down this JB. Please write down JBs are called joists. These are all simply supported beams. These are all resting on the main beams. This is the frame. This is a typical frame. There are columns, interior columns. Just I have drawn one small section. In the plan, in that one I had shown this. This is the width. This is the width. A to A, B, C, D is the width, and 1 to 7 is the length. In frames are like this along the grid number 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Frames are there. Frames are there. See here. Same picture. Cross section I'm showing you. Cross section I'm showing you. These are all the interior columns. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. See, 1, 2, 3 interior columns. 1, 2, 3 interior columns. I'm assuming the slab thickness. I'm assuming the slab thickness as 125 mm. And base spacing is 8 meters. Base spacing how much? 8 meters. Let us take base spacing how much? 8 meters. Mean frame to frame distance is 8 meters. Frame to frame distance is 8 meters. With this, I'm multiplying slab thickness 125 into density of concrete 25 into 8. That is 25 kilonewton per meter dead load on the main beam. Next, floor finishes 1.5. This depends on the usage. Floor finishes are depends on the usage. Here is 1.5 to 812. Next, partition wall load 1.25 into 8. Live load depends on the building usage. Here is I'm treating as residential building 24. Means these loads has been applied on this frame, and we'll analyze in the STAT model. How we'll get these values? Mean for feeding in the STAT, this is the fundamental. This is a basis. This is a basis to feed these values. You can see joists. Joists are at a space here. My joist spacing 1.4 meter. My joist spacing is 1.4 meter. Joist spacing depends on the live load. If the live load is very huge, we may go joist spacing 1 meter also, 0.5 also. Let us take our flyovers are there. Their load is very huge. Joist spacing may be very little. Very little. Understand? That is the reason. Here, normal joist spacing is there, 1.5 meters. I'm calculating the load on the joist. Same density on the concrete, thickness of the slab, density of the concrete, 1.45 is the joist spacing, live load, dead load, floor finishes load, partition wall load, and live load. And live load. Polo sir, 5 minutes break. Hello?
Sir.
5 minutes break.
Okay, sir. I request all participants, please wait for 5 minutes. Speaker wants to take 5 minutes break.
Sir, बोला sir?
हाँ सर, सर.
Okay sir. Sir, able to see sir? PPT?
Yes sir, we are able to see.
Okay sir. View maximize. How to maximize this one?
Downward sir, downward, right hand side. There is a slideshow symbol. Down sir, don't go to menu. Don't go to menu. Come down. The comments, notes.
Slide comment.
No, come down sir. Here, extremely down. Here. Yeah. This is last third symbol.
Yeah.
Third symbol. That one.
Hello? Yeah.
Sir, you can go ahead. Sir.
Yeah, now I'm first time I'm showing these pictures now. Till now I have taken these notes, calculations, and material, all these things only. Now I'm going to show live pictures and our projects, what we have done, and also with graphically you can understand more. Understand? Now I'd like to start. Why we call pre-engineered building systems? Pre-engineered building systems, why it came, meaning whatever engineering work is completed before the dispatch of material. Write down pre-engineered means once material has been dispatched to site, will not check whether the column is okay or not. It can able to take load or not. Will not check because whatever the engineering work is there has been completed, finished at the office only. Means pre-engineered, that is design, estimation, detailing, shop drawings, manufacturing of the plant, erection planning, everything has been completed at the office only. That is the reason entire engineering work has been completed. Once material dispatched to the site, will not check whether the beam is okay, column is okay, it can able to take load. All these things are not our duty because this entire engineering work has been finished before dispatch of the material. That is the reason we call as a pre-engineered buildings. Next, we can see this picture. Polo sir, these photos are coming. Hello? Polo sir?
Yes sir, yes sir.
These photos are coming, others photos.
Ah sir, coming sir. Planet frame section.
No, others photos I am weaving this photo. Okay, sir. This, we can see this plan. Here, post and rigid frame. What is post and what is rigid frame? Post and, write down, all of you. Post and means non-expandable frame. Post and means non-expandable frame. Rigid frame means expandable frame. Rigid frame means expandable frame. This, if you see this picture, this exactly resembles the bending moment and shear force diagram. This picture exactly resembles the bending moment shear force diagram. That is the reason PB sections are the tapered sections. Higher the bending moment, higher the section. Lower the bending moment, lower the section. In this picture, what is this one? Can you see? This one, what is this? What is this? These are all joints. These are all splice joint, which I had extended to you. Splice joints. Yesterday I had explained the joints, movement splice joint. These are splice. Means these two different members are connected with help of the splice joint. With help of the splice joint. Here also one splice joint. Here also splice joint. Here also splice joint. In this picture, you can see in this picture, you can compare this section to this section. What is the difference? This frame to this frame. Can you compare? Here our sections are very heavy compared to here. Why lighter? Because here we are using the column as a support, so that bending moment calculation span is L by 3. But coming to here, span is L. That is the reason here is heavy, here is light. And also this is a post end. Post end means non-expandable frames. Post end means non-expandable frames. We can see in this picture wall bracing. Just now explain the bracing. Wall bracing, roof bracing also is there, and also purlins. These are all horizontal members are purlins, and these are all sidewall girts. Sidewall girts. Understand? Here we have different types of PEB frames. This is the 60 meter, 80 meter frame. This is the 70 meters frame. This is the single slope frame. This is the 3 column. Why we should go 3 different types of frames? What is the reason having the 3 different types of frames? Let us take here. For example, I am designing a 80 meters building. Please note down. And with this 80 meters, I given the proposal to customer. My total cost of the building is coming. Project is 100 lakhs. Note down. When I approach the customer is saying that this is not fitting my budget. This is not fitting my budget. He will say that economize. How shall I economize? Where shall I economize? What are the options for economy? Because for a given building, given length, width, right on, sheeting is fixed, purlins are fixed. What is the other option? Other option is add 1 column inside. Then bending moment became half. Here is 80 square. Now 40 square means bending moment is reducing, means frame weight also reduces. Frame weight reducing means cost also come down. Then again I will go to customer. His cost is coming down to 70 lakhs, right? Cost is coming around 70 lakhs. Then again, customer is saying that this is also not fitting my budget. Customer is saying this price also not fitting my budget. You reduce the further cost. Then I will suggest as an engineer, I will ask customer to, can you add 1 more column? If I add 1 more column, my span reduces L by 3. Mean PL square, whatever means. L square means it is reducing by 3 times. Means my bending moment also reduces. Means that frame sizes also reduces. Cost also come down. Again I will go to the customer. I will say that now cost is coming 50 lakhs. Okay, customer says it is fitting my budget. It means that if you write down, if you want to optimize the frames, we have only one option. Either adding 1 column, one option. Second column is one option. See, first case, my cost is 100 lakhs. Second, by adding 1 column, cost is 70 lakhs. By adding and 2 columns, my cost is coming to 50 lakhs. And also one more method of the reducing cost also by write down by increasing or decreasing the base spacing. By decreasing base spacing, that is distance between center to center column. If you increase or reduce, we can optimize the sections. Understand? Next. These are all 2 frames. Can you compare this multi-gable to multi-span? Which is advantages? This is advantage. This is advantages. Which one you will prefer? Multi-span you will prefer or multi-gable you will prefer? Which one you will prefer? Here is, as we are going from here to here, height is increases. But we are coming to here to center column, height is constant. Height is constant. It means that, and also one more problem here is drainage problem is there. Drainage choking may happen. Here, no drainage, free flow will happen. This is multi-gable is advantages. This is already progress are told. I will not this. In this picture, what are the items you are seeing? In this picture, what are the items you are seeing? Bracings, column. Here is base plate, stiffeners, and crane bracket. What is this one, horizontal one? Purlins. This is angle bracing, like this. Tapered column. The structural members in the PB are base plate, column, rafter, crane girdle, bracing, measurement system. Purlins, all these things are comes under secondary members. See, in this picture, what are the items you are seeing? In this picture, what are the items are there? What is this one line? This line? What is this line? These lines are sag angles. These lines are sag angle. These sag angles are connected to sidewall girds. Sidewalls girds. Sidewall girds. What the sag angles do? Sag angles provides a lateral torsional restraint to purlins. Restraint to purlins. These are built up sections we are cutting at the factory. This is gas cutting is going on at the factory. Welding. This is also welding. Submerged welding. Cold form sections. What is cold form section? Why we call cold form sections? Anybody? What are the cold form sections? Write down. Purlins, girds, U-studs, all these things are comes under the cold form sections. It means that why this cold is coming in front? Prefix. Because for section formation, we are not using any type of heating, welding, nothing we are using. Simply we are obtaining the section by rolling the coil in the rolling machine. We are obtaining section by rolling. See, this is one Z section. This is web is stiffened element. Web is stiffened element. Flange also stiffened with help of this lip. With help of this lip. With help of this lip. Here also, C also, you can see. What is the difference between our, please note down. What is the difference between our conventional C section to Z section? Anybody? What is the difference between our conventional C section to Z section? Because in our academics, we teach only the C section. If you see any textbook, generally purlin design means they will go C section only. But in PEB, 100% we are using the purlins and girds as a Z section. What is the reason? What advantages makes this section to be used? Number one, write down. Z sections, CG and shear center coincides. But in our conventional C section, CG shear center does not coincide. Here, CG shear center coincide. That is the reason there won't be any torsional effect. There won't be any torsional effect. But in our conventional C section, CG shear center does not coincide. Due to that, torsional effect will there. Torsional effect is there. Number two, our conventional C section, web only the stiffened element. Flanges are unstiffened element. But in Z section, web also stiffened, flanges also stiffened. That is the reason it has in the huge capacity as well as DB ratios are very high. Right on. This Z section is galvanized section. Right on. Z section is a galvanized section. This section does not require any painting, and without painting it can withstand minimum 50 years. A galvanized section is done hard dipping. Due to that, this section is a very effective from corrosion point of view. But coming to our conventional C section, we have to paint it regularly. And one more advantage, please note down, this Z section is a lappable section. This Z section can be lappable. We can lap these Z sections. We can lap this Z section. Z sections are acting like a continuous beam. Z sections are acting, it having the property of lapping. We can lap the Z sections. We can lap the Z section. Due to this lapping, Z sections are acting like a continuous beams. Z sections are acting like a continuous beams. That is the reason Z sections are most efficient sections. Most efficient. But if you see our conventional, our C section, we can't lap it. We can't lap it the section. We should use as a simply supported beam only. Our C section is ISMC C section. That is, we can't lap it. We have to use that as simply supported beam. But this Z section is a continuous beam. Z section is a continuous. We can use as a continuous beam. Due to this continuity, this bending moment, shear forces are reduces, and also load carrying capacity is very good. Next time, why Z section is more popular? Next, you see Z section how they are fixing to the rafter. See, this is a lap. This is our I-beam or column or rafter. This is one purlin. This is one purlin. These two purlins are lapped and connected to the rafter with help of the bolts. This lapping helps the Z section to act like a continuous beam. This lapping helps the Z section to act like a continuous beam. This is not possible in case of our conventional ISMC section. This lapping is not possible. That is the reason our ISMC sections are not using in the PEB. Next. See, these purlins are connected with help of the sag rods and sag angles. These purlins are connected with help of the sag rod and sag angles. These sag rods and sag angles provides a lateral support to purlin. Sag rod provides lateral support to purlin in minor axis. Write down. This sag rod provides a lateral support to purlin in the minor axis. See here how they are fixing. This is my column or rafter, and this purlin is lapped here. Another purlin is coming from in this direction, another is coming in this direction. I am fixing with help of 6 bolts, and then it is acting like a continuous beam. Please note down. PEB purlins and girts are continuous beams. That is the reason they are economical. PEB Z sections are CG shear center coincides. Write down. That is the reason they are torsionally free. Means there won't be any torsional effect in the Z section. There won't be any torsional effect is not. Number 2. Number 3. These sections are galvanized sections. These sections are galvanized. Due to the galvanizing, they are able to withstand from the weather effect nearly 50 years. No painting is required for purlins because these sections are galvanized sections. These sections are galvanized sections. Understand? See here, these red lines, what is these red lines? These red lines are sag angles. These red lines are sag rod. We can use sag rod or sag angle to provide the support to purlins, to connect the support. Support in the sense to provide the lateral support to purlins in minor axis. Support in minor axis. Just now I told flange bracing. Why we are not seeing this flange bracing word in our Indian books? Are you seeing this word earlier? Are you hear this word earlier? Flange bracing? Anybody? If you see any of our Indian textbook, steel textbook, will not see this flange bracing. We feel uneasy. What is this flange bracing? In PB, everybody saying flange bracing, flange bracing. But in our Indian textbooks, you can take any Subramaniam, Dougal, Dayaratnam Sar textbook, any book. But we won't see any flange bracing. For us, very new thing. This flange bracing concept is very new. But this flange bracing is like a hot, right down? This flange bracing is like a hot for PB structures. Flange bracing is like a hot, which provide on flange bracing provides lateral torsional restraint to rafter and columns. Right on. Flange bracings are provide lateral torsional restraint to members. Flange bracings are used angle sections for depth up to the 100 mm depth. Flange bracings are built up sections also will use for depth is more than 1000 mm. In STAT Pro, how will take this effect of the flange bracing? Using the LX LY command. LX LY command. You can see this picture. When this load is applied on the top, this rafter, this bottom flange try to move here. We have to stabilize this system. How to stabilize? Using the flange bracing. Flange bracing. This when rafter or column tries to deflect like this, these two are called flange bracing. These two are called flange bracing. Tries to bring this column in position. Column in position. Understand? See this picture. What is this picture saying? Buckling length. What is the buckling length? When the main beam is there on the top, one secondary beam is running. On top, one secondary beam is running. You can see deflected profile may be like this. Deflected profile may be like this. But what is this one? Loops are coming. 3 loops are forming here. 1 loop, second loop, third loop. But we never see this type of picture. What is this picture saying? Due to these 2 secondary beams A, B, C, this length has been taken 3 turns. It means that unsupported length is C to D, B to C only. C to D, B to C and A, B. It means that unsupported length, unbraced length is the L by 3. Suppose these 2 beams are not there. B, C cross beams are not there. No load is there. In that case, unbraced length how much? Unbraced length is equal to the length of the beam. Unbraced length equal to the length of the beam. See here in this picture. In this picture, what are the things we are seeing? In this picture, what are things are there? This is flange bracing, flange bracing, flange bracing, flange bracing. These are all sidewall girds, sidewall girds, sidewall girds. Here also, rafter also connected with flange bracing, flange bracing, flange bracing. This one is, what is this one? Skylights. We are getting the daylight inside the building. Daylight inside the building. You can see here also. What is this one? Diagonal members? Flange bracing. Flange bracing, which are provide the lateral torsional restraint to the members. See here, fascia, flush fascia, cantilever fascia. This I will not. With this fascia, this building, a sloped building will look like a box building. With fascia, sloped building look like a box building. Base plates. Yesterday I was explaining the base plates. Base plates. How many types of base plates are there? How many types? Pinned base plate, fixed base plate. When you are visiting a site, how will you identify whether a base plate is a pinned place or fixed base plate? You don't have any stats software, anything, just you are visiting the site and somebody is saying that what type of base plate, either fixed or pinned, how will you identify? How will you identify? Write down if the bolts are near the CG of the web. If the bolts are near the CG of the web, then you can call it is a pinned base plate. If the bolts are outside the flange, is called as a fixed base plate. That is a thumb rule. That is if you see bolts are outside the flange, you can say by closing eyes. Sir? Okay. Understand? Base plates are, see, if the bolts are inside the, bolts are in between the flange. If the bolts are in between the flange, or you can, by closing your eyes, if the bolts are in between the flanges, we can say that by closing your eyes, you can say that it is a pinned base plate. It is a pinned base plate. Means indication of the pinned base plate means the bolts are inside the flange. If the bolts are outside, it's called a fixed base plate. Means when you are visiting any site, no need to check any design, anything. By seeing the bolt pattern, right down? By seeing the bolt pattern, that is, if the bolts are outside the flange, like this, we can say that by default, that is a fixed base plate. If the bolts are inside the flanges, we can say that is a pinned base plate. This is our anchor bolt. This is our anchor bolt. Columns. What types of columns are there? Tapered section, straight section, stepped section. This is tapered section. This is a tapered section column. This is a tapered section. Generally used for the light weights, light crane capacity. This is the straight column for moderate crane capacities. Moderate crane capacity. This is a stepped column. Right on. This one is a stepped column for 50-ton cranes will use. This is a laced column. This one is the laced column. This column is used for the heavy crane, that is more than 100 tons, more than 50-ton crane will use. And also, please write down, by seeing the shape of the column, also we can say whether the building is carrying the heavy cranes or not. If you see any site visit, if you see this type of system, you can say that is a building is carrying the very heavy cranes. If you see the tapered column, means crane is very light crane. Cranes already explained, I think. Yesterday I explained this headroom, end clearance also. This is headroom, end clearance. Mainly I will explain this one more. Manually operated can this not. Mezzanine floors. Mezzanine floors I will explain you. Mezzanine floors are like this. Decking you had seen yesterday, I think. This also. Fixing between mezzanine floor to, this is called deck sheeting. This is called deck sheeting. Fixing between from mezzanine floor to, fixing from mezzanine joist, and this deck sheeting done with help of the self-tapping screws. Why we do this? Because if you are not fixing this with help of these screws during this concreting, this sheet may be come out. The sheet may be come out or disturb. This is called shear studs. These shear studs will use in case of bridges, heavy loads, vibrations are there, machine foundations. There we use this deck sheeting. We use this deck sheeting. Sheeting. Sheeting we have different profile. Trapezoidal sheeting, this also explain, I think. See, bracing you can see here. This is cross bracing. Just to explain the portal bracing. Portal bracing means we have the 100% access. 100% access is there. But in coming to cross bracing, access is obstruction. In this picture, you can see portal bracing. Portal bracing. Puff panel. Puff panels. These puff panels are we use in case of aqua industry, and where we store this material to maintain the required temperatures. There you use this puff panel. Puff panel generally will use for the purpose of the maintaining the temperature inside the building. Understand? Puff panels are used for the maintaining the temperature. These puff panels are used for walls as well as roof also. These puff panels are used for walls and roof for the purpose of maintaining the temperature inside the building. This is a fixing arrangement of this puff panel. This is the fixing arrangement of the puff panel. This is the glass wool or rock wool. Glass wool or rock wool. Glass wool, rock wools are used for the purpose of insulation. Means let us take our Vijayawada city is there during the summer very hot. If you want to maintain the temperature inside the building, reduce the temperature inside the building, you should cover this roof with this rock insulation. Then you can maintain this inside the structure very less temperature. Means transfer of temperature can be reduced with help of this insulation. Fiberglass insulation. You see this picture. Inside the picture, without any lights, we are getting the tremendous daylight. Tremendous daylight. How it's possible? How is it possible? We are getting the tremendous daylight inside the building with help of these skylights. With help of this skylights. Skylights means to transfer the daylight inside the building. To transfer the daylight inside the buildings. Skylights we provide on side walls as well as a roof also. The main object of the skylights or wall lights is to get the daylight inside the building. For this one we use FRP or polycarbonate sheet. We use FRP or polycarbonate sheet of thickness 1.5 mm, 2 mm or 3 mm. These are all the turbo vents, ridge vents, roof vent, power vent. What is the purpose of this? Turbo vent, roof vent, where we use? What is the purpose of this? Turbo vent, power vents are for the purpose of removal of the hot air from inside the building. To take out the hot air, smoke, dust, anything is there inside the building, we should remove it. Mean with help of this turbo vent and power vents. Okay, now yesterday I was explaining no these high strength bolts splice connections. See here, this my rafter and column I am connecting with help of the yesterday I explained the bolt splice connection. These are all my plate design. This plate we have to design. This plate we have to design. This is a rafter. This is a column. We are connecting this to with bolts. With bolts. See here. Here also. Rafter, two rafter. Here is one rafter, another rafter. These two rafters are connected with help of bolts. With help of high strength bolts. Yesterday I was explaining now connection design. See here. For connection of the member, write down. In PEB, for connecting the connections frames, we are using bolts of grade 8.8 grade. 8.8 grade. You can see here. Yesterday I was explaining this connection, how to design. This connection is here. This connection is here. Means this is one rafter, this is another rafter. These two rafters are connected with help of a splice connection. What is the grade of bolts? Grade of bolt is 8.8 grade. Grade of bolt is 8.8. See here. This every bolt is marked with a number. Whenever you visit the site, you can also check it whether the bolts are using correctly or not. How will you check? Each bolt is marked with one number. See here 8.8, 10.9, 8.8. What is this number? This is not a lucky number. This is indicates the strength of bolt. Write down 8 into 100, 800. 8 into 8, 64 into 10, 640 is the yield strength. It means that every bolt is marked with a number which indicates its capacity, That is called 8.8, 10.9. Here, this is high strength bolt. This strength is more than this strength. Understand? It means that every bolt is marked with its strength. Please, whenever you are visiting next time to the any PEB or any